I think this conversation is really helping me as well, because it's important to understand how academicians and campus leaders think about the whole thing. Having said that, I come from a very uh, different background, consulting plus corporate, plus I've worked with almost 300 companies in terms of delivering various projects. But also, fortunately, I had the kind of experience of working with several campuses as well. Most importantly, working with campus leaders on certain projects, which made me closer to understand that campus leaders have a very, very big responsibility, at the same time, a big opportunity as well, right? So whenever there is big responsibility, it comes with a lot of things to do. But like most of you, talking about lack of resources, lack of focus, lack of systemic support, all agree to that. At the same time, when Shikumar started this conversation, he started with saying that maybe one person can make a change, right? In every big institution, even for countries for that matter, look at, one person can destroy a country, one person can build a nation, right? um, I think, coming from that leadership perspective, there is a lot of work which is still possible with our limited resources, with our limited things. Um, I think, first of all, as campus leaders, we should possibly try to treat our people, like students, more like functioning adults than kids, right? Which comes from a very different thought process, because most of us, like, I still can, I'm a reader of vocabulary in different industries, right? So in every industry, what kind of vocabulary they frequently use, say for example 100 200 words, what does it connote, what is the meaning of it, how is it leading them to do things, right? So in every industry, so being a leadership coach also, I try to understand what kind of words people use. Same thing, I kind of try to understand what academic people are using, right? So there is something called reading the vocabulary and finding out what the thinking is all about. So the reason why I'm sharing this insight is that if we stop treating our students as kids or children, and start treating them as fully functioning possible adults, right? That's going to change, shift our thinking from rigidity to a little bit of fluidity, right? It is important to have structure, agree to you on that, but it's also important to have dynamism, right? We're talking about students who are like a decade elder or younger to you, 2 decades younger to you, right? Sometimes. And they're living in a different era. They grew up in a different era. They are completely different from us in terms of the context which they were, kind of growing in, right? So we are talking to another alternative universe in that sense, though we share a lot of common ground, right? The common ground is like the campus, the environment, the subject we learn, or the topics we are discussing with. But in a movie called in a movie called you know Spider-Man. So there are two. I mean, Avengers. I'm sorry, Avengers. There are two characters who are talking. So one character says like, I am from Earth 2622, right? And the other character says that I am from Earth, another number. So it means that every individual comes from a very unique context, circumstances, and backgrounds, right? Imagine the possibility and responsibility of dealing with some thousand individuals like that, right? Imagine the possibility and responsibility of having so many people who are coming from different contexts. The reason why the campus leadership is most complex in all the sense, and is also fun, because once you start understanding this whole magnitude of the whole thing, right, you will see it differently. The reason why we need to deliberately look at leadership as an act of doing things, with a lot of intent, with a lot of direction and focus, right? It's not something, I mean, nothing would happen by itself. I mean, that's the first thought which I always tell people and myself, right? It won't happen by itself. We need to go and do it, deliberately practice leadership. Sometimes we may not have the leadership traits. Maybe we are not groomed to be leaders at this point in time, but here is an opportunity. The third thing is like we all love stability because stability offers you a lot of security. And stability is something wherein you don't have to change your opinions and attitudes and everything very often, right? But stability also comes with a bit of a price we pay for it. The reason why, because when the world is moving faster, like you're talking about new technologies, new areas of possibilities coming in, we don't want to be left out in this dynamic world. The reason why we need to be agile, right? So agility is something which not everyone can do. The reason is it requires a lot of uh, preparation, right? One is preparation in terms of what is happening. Secondly, your ability to change based on how the environment changes, right? And thirdly, your ability to change your own opinions, right? So in most of the leadership sessions, I ask this simple question like, what is one opinion you changed in the last 6 months? And most of the people struggle to kind of say that thing because it is very hard to change their own opinion. And I'm sure opinions can be changed only with new set of information, and the information needn't be like immediately accepted or rejected. The information can be entertained, processed, and comprehended, and then you can change your opinion. So it's not like by the time you read an article, you change your opinion. No, that's not the thing which you're talking about. By the time you read an article, you're not rejecting it outrightly, also, right? So there is no black and white thing in leadership. It's about neither rejecting it nor accepting it, but entertaining the thought. And when you entertain the thought more and more, that's when gradually we change inside, right? So I think this stability to agility is one area which all of us as leaders and people who are responsible for this should be really looking at it. The other idea is like on the openness, right? Most of the people say, hey, are you open to this idea? Why are you so closed? What are you trying to protect, isn't it? So most of the ideas people want to protect, they want to protect as if it is theirs, right? They feel that if I open it up, if I change my opinion, it is going to unsettle my position, unsettle my identity. It's going to disturb something, right? But what we miss out is that if we don't unsettle it, gradually we are moving to an unsettled mode, right? So sometimes we have to, uh, break the mode and work on it, right? So it is important to see the openness in these ideas and go and embrace those openness. The other idea is like we are moving from a very theoretical, very hypothetical kind of academic content delivery to very experiential, very live learning by doing kind of a model. Because our kids, like, when I say our kids, we're talking about functioning adults who want things through experiences. They don't believe anything other than experiences, right? So you give a fantastic 1 hour video, lecture to them, or a great content to them. They will read it, they will watch the video, they possibly will assimilate a lot of ideas. But when they go and solve a challenge, right, or they get into a problem, they pick up the problem elements, search for information elements, connect all these things together and solve it. I mean, that is when the real learning happens. So learning by doing, right? So how often we are giving that opportunity for students to solve real problems, right? So when the other opportunity here is when we start treating our students as fully functioning adults. It also means that, for example, if you have a 1,000 member organization, like a 1,000 member student team, you are actually having a 1,000 member corporate team with you, right? You can make each one of them become part of your action team. So they are not people who are passively listening to you in a classroom. They can be active contributors in, you're talking about building the organization, doing every bit of work which you want them to do. So it comes with a challenger mindset because leaders need to be a little bit more challenging. Like Professor Sudhakar Rao was saying, Shah Rukh Khan did the challenger mindset. He broke the comfort zone in the team, and tried to push them to areas which they won't push themselves to, right? So that's where the whole thing comes in terms of challenging our own mindset and getting into the growth mindset. So I don't have to tell what growth mindset is to academic people, but I'm sure that you must be teaching this as well. The other one is like we are living almost most of the time in a compliance mindset. Like, the compliance mindset is conforming to these standards, rigid curriculum, timetable. So I mean, we are creating a box, a very strong box, and then getting all people inside that box, and then saying that a box is suffocating. We need to get out of the box, right? So we created the box, and if we create the box, we have to also find uh, things to escape from the box, right? So that is where we need to be a bit more bolder, take the risks to announce things which will surprise ourselves and other people. So I was telling in our morning conversation with Shri Kumar, that how big institutions take huge decisions which would look like uh, you know sometimes stupid, right, at that point in time. But over a period of time, you would realize that these were decisions which really shaped the image, the results of the organization, which would, so the good decisions won't look like good decisions at that point in time when we take, right? So the good decisions will always look like, oh, I mean, is it too early, or uh, is it good or bad? We never know. So the good decisions can only be evaluated based on connecting the dots, like, backwards, right? So that is one. Um, I'll take 2 minutes, and then so we are moving from an accreditation, certification, signaling kind of economy, wherein a few institutions or people will kind of thrown people with skills and certifications and accreditations, say that you're good enough, right? You're good, from an economy where skills, doing, and projects really matter. So when I do kind of visit campuses, we always kind of tell people that the era of resumes are over, right? You probably know, like, people don't look at the resumes, they look at LinkedIn profiles, they look at the side projects you have done, they look at the portfolio of the visual proof of work which you have done, wherein you are showing your work to the world constantly, right? Be it LinkedIn, be it Instagram, be it GitHub, be everywhere. There is opportunity for people to show their work and get employment, get entrepreneurial opportunities, do side projects, do hackathons, any opportunity which you feel would be a growth thing for you, right? So it is from an immediate thing. So most of us have a lot of immediate things to do, like back to your work, you'll have a lot of immediate things to do. At the same time, 50% of things can be immediate. You do what you have to do, like next 3 months or 6 months. But there are certain things which you should always look at your conscience and say that if I leave this like this, leave everything to the curriculum, leave everything to the system, leave everything to the box, what would happen, right? And what is the right thing to do? So I think leadership is all about doing that right thing and writing down those things, and say that I think before I kind of move out of this context, I should be able to significantly do something. And those are the leaders who do stuff like what Sri Kumar said in the beginning, right? Do unconventional stuff, do things which would surprise others. So I had this opportunity of being with campus leaders, good, bad, ugly, all sorts, right? And closely observing the good leaders has been a great privilege, and the reason why I could share some of the insights with you today. Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.